And we'll start in agriculture in Uganda is women-led. And I therefore want to start with the lady here, although she's not going to be talking about agriculture, but to give her the opportunity to take the lead. Honorable, you have 2 minutes to tell us very quickly about the message that you are packing for our audience today. You're good comment.
Well, I should say thank you very much, and I will dispense with the
test.
Because of time. Well, thank you very much.
I was given a very wide berth, two minutes for anything and pack it. And I was invited anyway to talk about Kampala. And so my package was to tell you that what Honorable Irene and the Vice President and everybody has said, the heart of it all is actually in Kampala for many reasons. One, Kampala contributes 60% of the GDP of Uganda. Kampala also raises 70% of the annual revenue of Uganda. And the Greater Kampala metropolitan area has a total population of about 15 million people. So with that statistics, and the story of Uganda anyway begins and began in Kampala, where explorers Speke and Grant first settled when they came looking for the source of the Nile. The rest is history. Because of that, we have a country called Uganda. So Kampala is an excellent opportunity for investing in tourism. We have the story beginning in Kampala, the religious wars that were fought at the beginning of colonialism resulted in the king ordering the death of about 30 martyrs. Out of that, we have one of the biggest shrines almost in the world called the Namugongo Martyrs Shrine, where this year alone, nearly 3 million pilgrims were recorded to have visited Namugongo Martyrs Shrine in just the month of June. So if you're going to invest in tourism, I'm mindful of the 2 minutes. If you're going to invest in tourism, you're going to make a big killing. Because, and what Irene wanted to say, that was said by wartime British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. He called Uganda the Pearl of Africa. But I think what he really wanted to say is that Uganda is the Garden of Eden. Because the Garden of Eden, I'll tell you this and finish. In Uganda, Uganda boasts of 60% of the world's highland mountain gorillas. They are in Uganda. Uganda also boasts of 11% of the world's bird species. And I want to put this in context. Uganda is only 93,000 square miles, but has 1,500 bird species. By comparison, the United States of America, which is about 3.6 million square miles, has got only 600 bird species. And the entire Europe, even bigger than the United States, has 700 bird species. And Uganda has over 2 million known live animal and plant species. So when I'm telling you that Kampala, Uganda is the Garden of Eden, I mean it. And I think if Winston Churchill had known what I know now and what I've told you, he would not have said it's the Pearl of Africa. He would have said it's the Garden of Eden. So if you want to invest in tourism, it's a very good investment place, given all the investment climate that has been laid out by my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, you have given me an opportunity to talk about Pearl Marina. Pearl Marina is probably the biggest mixed-use development currently being developed in the country. But behind Pearl Marina, we have Centum. Centum is one of East Africa's biggest investment companies, and we have a portfolio that extends from real estate to fast-moving consumer goods, to banking, and to agriculture. So we have invested to date more than $100 million on that project on Lake Victoria in Garuga. And we are bound to invest much more over the next 7 to 10 years. We believe that this is a country that has a lot of opportunities, but we also believe that the real estate sector can be done differently. And what we have done to date clearly shows that we have a model that is very different from what you've been seeing in the past. It's 400 acres, all developed, managed by us. We do everything from construction to management of the services on the estate, security. We generate power, we distribute power, we issue invoices for electricity. So all that is managed by a single company, and that gives you the confidence that when you are investing with us, or if you're buying property from us, you're going to be entering an agreement over 99 years because we're going to be there. So we're not just selling and walking away, but we are investing for partnership. Pearl Marina today in Uganda is basically a municipality. We have 4 hotels. We are going to implement 2 international schools, an international hospital. We have commercial areas, we have a marina, and we have, of course, lots of residential opportunities. But we have also made housing in the country different. First of all, it is affordable. We have units that are going for as low as $39,000, and I think that is really very important to say, because the quality that you're getting from a contractor like Rocco at that price is, of course, I think, remarkable. But we also are introducing a model that is different. Everything is master planned, so you know who your neighbor is going to be forever. You know who is going to be providing those services forever. And even as you invest with us at this stage, we're actually going ahead and continuing to and committing to not only deliver what we have promised, but also in the event that we do delay, you're going to have your money given back at a premium. So thank you for this opportunity to open up, but I would just want to invite everybody here, those of you who have not been to Pearl Marina at Garuga, to visit the site or to contact us for additional information. But those of you who are also looking at partnering with us in joint ventures in terms of either delivery of the units that we have or delivering of the business opportunities that we have, to reach out to us, and we think that there is something for you in there, big or small. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Richard Jabo, the Executive Director, Uganda Free Zones Authority. I'm going to speak about free zones in the context of where we are going as a country. We started the institution in 2014, and as I speak right now, we are designing the third National Development Plan. In that development plan, one of the key strategies to take us to the place where we want to go, which is middle income status, is industrial. The focus is on industrialization. But when you look at industrialization, there is the component of export-oriented industrialization, which is a bit more sophisticated than if you're just industrializing for the nation or within the region. And that is where the free zones come in. The concept is very old. It's one of the oldest, I think, dates back over 300 years, because for as far as humanity has been concerned, we've been doing cross-border trade. Now, what we are doing as an institution, first of all, we've laid down the legal framework, the regulatory framework, and the institutional framework to support participants, especially the private sector. The next phase right now is actually providing the non-fiscal incentives, which in essence looks at workspaces or the actual zones, and constructing them to provide facilities for operators who want to work in there, so that you have a more conducive environment where customs facilities and support are provided on site, where distributors can easily locate you. So that is another thing that we are focusing on right now. Maybe specifically we have a project that we are undertaking at Entebbe International Airport. There are some people we're talking to concerning that particular project. Why we think Entebbe International Airport is important is because a lot of produce comes from Uganda to Europe and ends up even here in the UK. So with there's been concerns about the quality and even the size of the facilities there. So just next to the cargo terminal, the new cargo terminal, that's where that little free zone is going to it is going to be constructed. But we also have other pieces of land that we are looking at where we intend to provide these facilities. I don't want to. I think tomorrow we have another session where I'm going to be discussing these issues in depth. Thank you very much.
Hello. I salute you all, beginning from His Excellency the Vice President, the Minister for Energy, and all protocols observed. I would like to start by thanking Immigration for their wonderful work. They've been so fast. I was worrying about my wife, leaving my wife behind, because I'm a senior citizen and I want to be up to date all the time. She had only 3 months left in her passport. So when I went to immigration, please, Uganda is not corrupt. I didn't pay a coin to anyone. I was served within a short time. Corruption is everywhere in the world, but it is becoming minimized in Uganda. Believe me, I'm seeing it. I represent many companies. I am someone who is a very senior businessman, 44 years in business. That's why I represent Ben Connolly Group, of which I'm chairman. The Kampala Diplomatic School, all started from the scratch and now doing very well. I put professors in various top world universities. A professor of nuclear medicine in some American university was my student. And a top 35 scientists of the world nominated by MIT was my student. I think she's here. Elizabeth Nyeko. I am going to talk mainly about Manduli's energy. I feel that as Manduli's energy, dealing with renewable energy, that is the direction the world is moving towards. The whole world is now looking for clean energy. And I want to disagree with the Honorable Minister that Kampala is for now, but tomorrow the rural area is going to give more money to the central treasury. How is it going to happen? Manduli's energy now is not only dealing in agriculture in order to harness the biomass, the dry biomass for generating power. We are making use of the rural farmers. We are working together in partnership with the rural farmers to produce more food. So Uganda is not going to cry for food anymore. After the food, we are giving more income to the farmers from the waste, especially rice husks and maize cobs. Tomorrow, when I've given the chance, I'll give you the details of our work. Since I went back to Uganda from the diaspora, I was well received because I was working very hard to develop the country. I've learned to give back to the society. Ours is a family business. We are determined to be like Fiat, like Ford. And we are moving forward and very successfully. We believe in giving back to the society. We help government. Doesn't mean our government is poor. We have a very rich government. Where the law requires certain things, we help to protect the law. And we give back to the society, not only to the villages, to the government offices. We help to protect government offices. I will not go into detail. In the rural areas, we help the rural people by organizing them and training them modern ways of farming so that they produce more. We provide storage facilities and training centers. You will see tomorrow, I don't make sweeping statements. I always speak what I do. You will see tomorrow in our video what our activities are about. We are determined to make the rural areas produce more money than Madvani. Madvani, we are challenging you. We are going to produce more money than Mukwano. Mukwano, we are challenging you. And right now, we have opened over 20,000 accounts, and we have marked we have Google Maps of 5,000 farmers already. The farmers believe in me because I started working with them 40 years ago. I believe in giving back to the society. When I went back to Uganda, I was received by people lining up 2 kilometers that he has come back. And that's why I'm determined to change the GDP of this country. I don't want to speak too long now. I have a chance tomorrow. Thank you very much, Your Excellency and honorable ministers. Lord Popat, I honor you so much because of the deep love you have for our country. I think you remember when you visited Uganda and the determination I had when I spoke. We are now building 16 off-grids using the agricultural waste. 2 are up. 1 is up running with the factories being run by these biomass power generators. So we are aiming at building 16 industrial parks, not only off-grids, plus 20 megawatts biomass power generator to be built to serve Gulu City. This is already financed by African Development Bank, and we have many other partners supporting us, Your Excellency. We are determined we will reach there. Thank you.
You now speak to my heart. Agribusiness is what I live for. Thank you. Eric, I know you've spent so many years with the British High Commission in Kampala, driving investment from this country. What is new that you can tell us this year?
Thank you so much, with all protocol observed. The Minister of Finance, when he was asked about the economy, he said Uganda's economy is I think that's the view we have, and we looking at time, and obviously we'll have more information tomorrow. The main thing we have been pushing for has been financed projects, especially on infrastructure, on oil and gas, on renewable energy, and on agriculture. We have visited your plant in Gulu, in Oya, and that was very impressive. Thank you for that. Uganda has, in terms of the British government perspective on project finance and investment, Uganda has been the most successful in East Africa. We currently we obviously delivering a number of projects. We have a country limit of £600 million, which we expect will be done by the end of this year. We have been lobbying for more cover for the country. Yesterday we had a good meeting with UK Export Finance, and the view is if there are projects that are good projects, they will always be considered. So we are hopeful that we will see a good pipeline of projects in Uganda. As we speak, we are looking at supporting the oil pipeline. So we were very disappointed 2 weeks ago. We are more reassured, but are looking at it closely. We're also looking at a pipeline of over £1 billion of business on the infrastructure side. And we support UK companies to work with local companies in Uganda to deliver on projects. Within a short time, it's hard to explain how we do what we do, but we're available, and feel free to contact us, and we'll try to help as much as we can. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Habari yako? Your Excellencies, both our Vice President and Your Excellency, the High Commissioner, the Honorable Ministers, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow speakers. I just want to start by congratulating Willie Mutenza for 10 years of tireless work for Uganda. And this time, he has raised the bar. We are at the Hilton and Park Lane. And not only that, but he's raised the bar again with such prominent speakers that he's arrayed today for us. And I ask Mr. Vice President, why does not Uganda have the award system like we have in the UK? Because this man deserves an award. And Mr. President, something else for you to be proud about, and that is what Ugandans are doing here in the UK. We had our very own Lord Poppet earlier. He is the first Ugandan nation to be made a peer in this country, so in the political scene. You will also be proud that in the 140 years history of the London Chamber of Commerce, I happen to be the first chairman from also born in Uganda. And when they had the debate in the both upper and lower houses of this Parliament of British, and they recorded and discussed and debated on the immigrant group in the whole of history of the UK, and it was the Ugandan nations who turned out to be the best immigrant group that we've ever had. So, ladies and gentlemen, mine was an opening statement, but it's now going to be an ending one. And I need to talk. I've been given a topic to speak about. I'm not sure whether I have sufficient time, but please stop me, and I will sit down straight away. But I'm going to rush through, and for many people, it might come out very clear. But it is within the section of the public-private partnership. That's what the topic is, and within that, I've got to talk to you about the private equity. So there are two separate topics. But I have to say that Honorable Minister Moloni covered a live example of what was a PPP project. And I think whatever she said was perfect. And I think it has been thought out so well by the authorities, and thank you, Minister, for doing that. And for a successful PPP project, of course, there have to be large projects like this, like the oil and gas. You still need a private sector. You know, these projects don't work just by the public sector, nor do they work just by the private sector. So both of them have got to work together in partnership. What does the private sector bring in? Is entrepreneurship and leadership. That often misses in the public sector. Public sector may have the vision, but the entrepreneurship and leadership always comes from the private sector. They are also very committed. When they're in it for profit, and they want to make money, so they're very committed, like these gentlemen are, and our Honorable Minister for Kampala. They are committed to making profit, and the other most important thing they will do is to bring funding. Now in funding, I'd love to talk to the Minister about what has happened as a new phenomenon for India recently. Under the London Stock Exchange, we've been able to list masala bonds. So I think we should be thinking about matoke bonds. And you know, these can be denominated in the local currency, and a lot of money can be raised. $7.5 billion have been raised for India in the last 3 years, or so 2 years if you like. The private sector will bring specialist skills, as the minister was mentioning. And of course, they are not the first ones to start the corruption, so they were free of that. And the public sector will do the monitoring. They will look after the public interest. Yes, the private sector will think about their own interest, but the public sector will think about the interest of the country and the public. And of course, that leads to economic development and more employment in the country. Now I just want to quickly switch to the private equity, and you'll be interested to, if I share some numbers with you. According to a deal-making company called PitchBook, some of you may know it, there have been 2,524 recorded private equity deals in Africa. And in the last 10 years, that number is 1,600. And only 104 deals took place in the last 12 months in whole of Africa. And the biggest of which was the Bharti Airtel transaction for $1 billion. Looking at Uganda specifically, there have been only 3 deals in the last 10 years. 37 deals recorded altogether in private equity. And overall deal size is around $12 million. So, but within East Africa, Kenya takes the biggest share, but very closely then followed by Ethiopia and Uganda in how private equity deals happen. And private equity deals, to make it a level playing field for these deals to work like they work in the West, in the UK and other European countries, there has to be some improved environment. And let me share some points with you on that. It has to have a good and easy regulatory environment for investors, as the minister was saying. And the biggest challenge in Africa when it comes to private equity is the difficulty of visualizing an exit. When people invest in private equity, they need to see in 5 years' time or 10 years' time that they can have an exit. In Africa, this proves to be a challenge at the moment. Because we don't have established stock exchange systems, although now we are beginning to see some in Kenya and Nigeria. So that's still time to some improvements to come. You need established solid companies with solid management. I was very impressed with the area of speakers here who have now developed and could very strongly and probably already have private equity money coming to them. And they are investors who want returns. The private equity is selfish. They just want a return on their investment. So we ought to be able to give that. And if we can give them double-digit returns, Minister, then I think they will be following you. The government must create the right environment for PE companies to invest. This means good dispute resolution mechanisms, effective legal systems, and where the rule of law exists, and less burdensome tax systems. I've heard that there are still companies who want to set up in Uganda importing equipment, and they're faced with tax to pay. And that tax might take a long time to recover, because when businesses start, they need to be able to minimize all these outgoings and when they make profit. So, I mean, my own business in Uganda, and we have investments in Uganda. We've just started a confectionery factory, and we've had to start paying on equipment that we've imported. That tax should be deferred until later. So those sort of things should happen. Well, there you are. There's some support there for me. And then there should be strong vigilance to root out corruption. Corruption doesn't happen by people saying, we want money. It happens by people not cooperating, not doing things that you want them to do. And how do we tackle them? And this is a problem that one envisages and finds in Uganda. And of course, please remember, as a British investor, if I have to invest in Uganda, I cannot give bribe. I'll be in jail next day here. Because it's a criminal offense in the UK to give bribes anywhere. Now, here's another little statistics for you. Where does Uganda score in the Transparency Index? It is 149 over 180. Please note, 149 doesn't mean a good high score. It's actually a pretty poor score, right? And you compare that with South Africa, it's 73 out of 180, and the UK stands at 11. So UK also has got a way to go, right? And in the public sector corruption area, Uganda scores only 26%. So this is an area to be dealt with by the government, and I know we have the very own corruption minister with us today, who's we're going to listen to, and she's going to tell us more. And there needs to be good, reliable data of private companies, and Africa still has a way to go in that area. But what are the positives for the private equity? And I'm going to finish very quickly after that. And it is a growth economy. Africa, in my opinion, is the next India. We are going to see tremendous growth in the next 15, 20 years in Africa. Already, economies are growing at 6% plus. New emerging middle class. You can witness that when you go to Uganda, you go to Kenya, you can see the new middle class in East Africa who are spending money, who want to buy goods and services. An increasing urbanization, that is happening, and changes in roads and so on. And harmonization of community, you got the East African community, you have COMESA. So these are all opening up the borders all around, and the market sizes are changing. As the President Museveni was telling us one day that Uganda may be landlocked, but it is very much trade-linked and land-linked. And adoption of technology. I was quite amazed to read that, and we probably will hear more about that in the afternoon, Willie, from all the program you arranged, is the funding for startups has seen an exponential growth, 51%. $195 million has gone into fintech type of companies. And of course, China might not invest in India. China might not be less of an investor in Europe and West, but China is a big investor in Africa. Europe is a big investor in Africa. So Africa is benefiting from all these external investors, and that growth is going to emerge. And that is where the PE companies are going to chase. And I look forward to real growth taking place. And PE in Africa is bound to increase, private investments. And it is my view that in the years to come, despite the challenges, these are going to be balanced by the growth opportunities that private equity brings. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for our panel. They prepared for 1 hour. They've done this in 25 minutes. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Edward Katende. I work for Uganda Agribusiness Alliance, and I'm ready to take any question agribusiness in Uganda that you may have. Thank you.